Drop a hot take and I will potentially use it for an upcoming video. You don't have to believe it. I'll go first. Ultra Gogeta Blue not nullifying endurance on active gauge was absolutely the correct choice, even if he ages poorly because of it. We're bringing back hot takes for the 8th anniversary, and this anniversary has been quite unpredictable. With that being the case, I'm assuming there will be some unpredictable hot takes, but explaining my hot take, I think if Ultra Gogeta Blue nullified endurance on active gauge, he would literally be top 1 for the longest. The fact that he's in competition with other units is good for the meta because there isn't an absolute top 1 to control the game that everybody needs to survive in PvP. That active gauge is already dangerous as is, lowering a lot of people's healths, but if it was a situation where it could kill you and lower people's healths, boy, it's literally summon for him or die. So even in the long run, if he phases out and that aspect of his kit could save him, for right now in the enjoyability of the 8th anniversary, it's better that he doesn't. He can still compete, and even without that, people still hold him at a top 1 level. Could you imagine if he did? That could literally be the end of the anniversary, so it's better that he doesn't. With that being the case, though I saw a lot of people do want him to have that, I think this is very agreeable, but you guys let me know. Let's get into yours. If you want to get involved next time, follow me on Twitter, Zakashi with 3 eyes, right there. So we've got the first hot take here from Dat Boy J. Legends not giving this guy a second life is the best decision they've made in part 2. This proves that not every character that comes out needs to have a second life to be meta competitive. It also is just a very healthy release in general because less matches are going to timer. I think this is 100% agreeable. I was even saying this, if this guy had endurance or revival or any type of second life mechanic, indestructible even, they would be undisputed top 1, indisputable top 1. Like, you can't literally debate it. They're already in conversations for being the best unit in the game with Ultra Gogeta Blue, though I still believe most people would still go Ultra Gogeta Blue, but that isn't the point. The point is, if the conversation can be had and there is a perspective for it, and that's without a second life, could you imagine with a second life? The difference between the two would be 0. Trunks and Gohan would be easily the top 1 unit. Ultra Gogeta Blue would be second or somewhere below, because this unit here is very dangerous without a second life. So yeah, this is just agreeable. I think most people are going to agree with this. Less matches are going to timer because they also don't have that second life, so the general environment, the PvP environment, is a much better, much healthier. Games go faster, feels more exciting, rather than that Broly slot fest that we had in part 1 where everybody's just gliding. This is a much more healthier PvP environment that we're in right now. So I agree with this, man. Good take, good take. We got a take here from Jolly Nike. Broly got countered too fast and he'll age out by part 3 or August. Now, countered too fast, I would say he's still usable. So for the first half of your take, I would disagree. Just there being a purple doesn't mean you absolutely got countered, and that purple doesn't even have survivability. Just play the game 3v3. He'll age out by part 3 or August. Now, part 3, I can't say for sure, but if they do drop another purple, it's over for him. But then I will say August, I think he will actually be out. Once he's off the boost, I think it's really over for him. So for the second part, I do agree. So I think in general, I'm going to agree because I guess the purple does actually work against Broly, obviously. But just one element releasing doesn't just mean Broly got countered throughout. I guess Trunks and Gohan, only one half of them is purple. And then on top of that, they also do nullify endurance on the Legends action. So that also does help. So I guess, yeah, this is agreeable take overall. By August, I think once they're off the boost completely, it's just over for them. I was saying this from the jump. Defensive units do not last long. They're there to annoy you for the time being, and it's hard to break through them, but the minute their defenses deteriorate, because every time there will be a power creep, everybody's offenses are getting higher, and later defenses are getting higher too. Broly's just not going to be that value because he's not an offensive unit in the first place, and his defenses are what's keeping him alive alongside with transformation mechanic. But it could get to the stage where he's just getting melted so fast that, you know, his transformation can't even hold him up. So yeah, I'm going to agree with this. But I wouldn't say he's completely countered yet. Sure, Gohan and Trunks work against him, but he's not out yet. But he'll completely be out by August. I can hear that. I can see that. We got a hot take here from DH Jams. Android 13 is the best support unit ever and will ever be. The only support unit even in consideration is MVP 17. He's better than future Gohan and Pan by miles and will continue to be used until Legends Fest Part 3. That is a lot of statements here, so let's break things down one by one. Android 13 is the best support unit ever. I just think that's disagreeable straight away, and will ever be. Well, that's just not wise to state, but I can't tell the future, so I'm gonna ignore that. The only support unit even in consideration is MVP 17. This I also disagree. He's better than future Gohan and Pan by miles. Depends on the perspective you look at that, but I think a lot of people disagree, especially about Pan, and will continue to be used until Legends Fest Part 3. That part I could agree with. I think he could be used into Legends Fest Part 3. Now what I will say is it depends on the perspective you want to look at this at. So there's a lot of factors you can consider. Do you want to consider impact? Do you want to consider longevity? Do you want to combine both of those factors and consider them together to see what's really valid long term with high impact? If we're looking at it in terms of impact, the answer is absolutely no. That's false. That's disagreeable. The impact Pan had on the game made it so that Beast Gohan and Future Gohan were able to form a trio that was like unavoidable. If you didn't run that team, you were going to lose 100% chance. And because of that, Pan's impact is just 10 times more. But the longevity, no. Pan definitely did have decent amount of longevity, but right now what Android 13 is doing is probably going to touch the same caliber. So I can't say Pan 100%, and longevity as well, I'd probably just go MVP 17 because he just did the whole 2023. So yeah. But then if we want to talk about impact plus longevity, Android 13 is doing it in a harsher meta. I like saying this about a lot of old units, right? A lot of people hold a lot of old units to a high standard because they had OP kits in time of fodder. Literally Farmers League. I've joked about this in the past. It's obviously disingenuous to say this, but Ultra Gogeta Blue is an example of a unit who basically had a superior kit in a league of farmers. He was fighting Tag 4s and Trunks and Vegeta, probably the worst tag unit to ever release if Boo Bros didn't exist. You get what I'm saying? So when you are a unit in New Age Dragon Ball Legends and you're lasting this long, in my opinion, it holds more weight and merit because the Dragon Ball Legends devs have done more testing, they've released more units, and simply it's harder to survive when the power creep is this high. So Android 13 lasting at this time, day and age is a lot more impressive in my opinion than what Pan was doing back then, because the average unit was actually just a farmer. But now every unit is the final boss, top floor boss reaching top 5. Do you know what I'm saying? So depending on how you want to view this, I think this is actually a very good hot take. I just feel like whatever be was like very, come on now, like you're on Android 13's meat. You know what you're doing. But for a hot take, this is probably the best one yet because you're actually stretching the bounds. But most people won't agree on a surface level. I just had to do a super analysis just to give you grace. So we're going to disagree, but I could argue your case if I really want to. Do I want to? Nah. We got a take here from Million AR. Putting two game originals in the same part was a very good choice, and their mechanic being different from each other was a very good choice for the game. And so far, this anniversary is very good with healthy metas, like you can use different teams of your choice waiting for part 3. I think this is very agreeable, very agreeable. Let's go bit by bit. So putting two game originals was a very good choice. That's a subjective matter, so I'm not really going to touch on that. Their mechanics being different for each other for a very good choice for the game. I think that's very agreeable because they can be used different ways. And so far, this anniversary is good, very healthy metas. You can use different teams for your choice. Yes, the philosophy is hitting right now. Here are the list of teams that you can use right now in the 8th anniversary at part 2. We've got game originals if you really wanted to. Saiyans is obviously very powerful. You've got Future still standing. You've got powerful opponents. You've got hybrid Saiyans. And if you want to stretch it, you've got Vegeta Clan. If you want to stretch it even more, you've got Sun Family because Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is in the meta right now. And am I missing anybody? I don't think there's any other teams, but even if we wish without the stretching it, there's 5 solid teams that you can use in the meta right now. And if we look at 2024, that was just simply not the case almost ever. So right now the devs are definitely cooking. Depending on how you want to play, you are able to get stocks out of any team that you want to use. Not completely any, but there's enough choice and variation for you to pick and choose how you want to build your teams and how you want to play. So I think this is a very agreeable take, and the developers have actually done a good job. The mechanics also being different means that you're going to get different playstyles out of each unit too, so that's nice. We got a take here from Fonz. Besides the busted units, this is still a really damn good anniversary. So many events, 3 out of 4 units are busted, and the plats are really damn good. The only miss we've had so far is Goldock and maybe Shalette. Thank God they got their act together compared to last Annie. 100% man, the 7th anniversary was very mediocre. Part 2 was good, but then a lot of people's phones were hot. Let me just say agreeable. I like this. Besides from the busted units, I want to know who you're talking about. Gogeta Broly. Gogeta's still pretty tame in my opinion, especially now we're in part 2. He's obviously on the better end and he's actually top tier, but he's not absolutely destroying the game. And Broly, he's not destroying the game either, but I think playstyle wise he made it annoying. The plats definitely overtuned, especially on Goku Black's end, and I feel like because they've made everybody somewhat decent, everybody's average, you know, so you can use a lot of variation. So I'm not going to say much more about that, but it's still a really good anniversary. 3 out of 4 units are busted. I would say 3 out of 4 units are top tier. Shalette is more specifically oriented, like you use them for one specific purpose, so I guess this is pretty accurate, and the plats are really damn good. This is just agreeable, man. Goldock, Bardock and Goku, they are pretty much a miss. And maybe Shalette. I wouldn't say he's a miss personally, but he is slightly worse. Easily the least powerful unit that we've got so far in the celebration in terms of premium releases. Anyways, this is all agreeable. Makes the 7th anniversary look shameful, honestly. So yeah, good stuff to the developers this year. We got one here from Darkus Leonidas. Shalette does not need buffs. He is comfortably sitting within the top 10 and he's certainly not 10th placed. However, I would not blame the devs if they did buff him, as Gold Trunks gap the game by 2 tiers at the moment. 2 tiers, I don't know what that implies per se, but I agree with this take in general. Need is a very strong word. Need is like you're on your knees and anything it takes to get water so that you can drink and quench your thirst before you die. That's what you need. Like, that's a need, you know what I'm saying? If they buffed him, that's not ridiculous. It would help him out a lot and it'd put him on a better level to where he is right now in terms of being an all-round useful unit. At the moment, I think his main use is just being a blue card merchant. Honestly, he does have the endurance and buff cancellation to keep him alive on the defensive end, but his defenses aren't that great and his disrupt isn't that great either. So in general, he's mainly there for the offensive one-trick pony a type of play, but on the defensive end, he's just enough to keep you alive, but nothing that's gonna really save the game. So if they did buff him, it's nice. He definitely still is top 10, but is he Gold Trunks? Is he Ultra Gogeta Blue? Is he Prime Part 1 Broly? No, he's just not. So if they did buff him, sure. If they don't, sure. He doesn't need a buff, but could he use one? I guess so. He could have fun with it and he would actually shift the tides of the anniversary. So yeah, good take, man. I think this is agreeable and I appreciate you putting the need in asterisk so you can really show that you're trying to separate the actual want and need. We've got a take here from Osiza or Osiza, Okisa. I don't know how to say your name, but I hope one of those hit. They handled game originals very poorly. Shalette buff was cool, but they didn't give him any new utility like cover no on entry, so you can't even use his higher stats because his combos can be interrupted. Bard Q, so Goku and Bardock, and Shalette, while decent, can't hold a candle to the competition. I agree, because your main take is about the game originals being handled very poorly. I think as a team, game originals could have been better. Very might be a stretch, but I'm gonna agree because I agree more than disagree, you know. I don't strongly agree with your take, but I think this is an agreeable take. The team game originals needs a core 3. Shalette is damn near unusable. Goku and Bardock can be used, but they're on the lower 10, not even reaching a solid top 10. And Shalette is top 10, but he's on the lower end for a lot of people, and he's more so played as a one-trick pony with his blue card, which is RNG based. He does have the survivability, and so do Goku and Bardock, but there's nobody that's an absolute team carry, except Goku, and Trunks. But because the rest of the team is lackluster and they don't have survivability, it doesn't make the team an actual strong competitor. Why in the other previous hot take, I didn't mention Game Originals as a team that you can really use, because I don't feel like it's actually that strong. It's not something that is in the top ranks of competition. So for this, I don't agree that they handled the team very poorly, but clearly when they made the team, they considered all other possibilities, even though they are Game Originals, talking to the Part 2 releases. So Gohan and Trunks are being used more on Hybrid Saiyans, Future, and you might even see a sneak of Sun Family Hybrid Saiyans, or Sun Family Vegeta Clan, or you might just put them on the leader slot. But with Shallot, you're seeing him on God Key, Fusion Warriors, or you're going to see him leader slotted on another team. We've got maybe Gohan and Trunks, but then Shallot and Goku and Bardock just get slept. So it's quite disappointing for the whole Game Originals tag, but the Part 2 units, they did their big one, Shallot a little less, and they're being used on appropriate teams that are not Game Originals. So I think this is more agreeable than disagreeable. I don't strongly agree, but I'm going to put agreeable. Hot take here from AD28841. Best plat equip in all of the game's history, and you can't prove me wrong. Whew. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. This one, I'm gonna stay neutral, but I'm gonna raise arguments for both sides. So, like I mentioned earlier, it's much harder to get a platinum equipment of this caliber in New Age Dragon Ball Legends. If you are able to perform in New Age Dragon Ball Legends, it's just more impressive than it would have been for what you were doing in the past, because the older units comparatively are just farmers. It just is what it is. But for what units did back then, gapping the game, and I say back then like we're really a far way away, but like God Goku, that was a very good platinum equipment. Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, very good platinum equipment. Any others that are at the top of my head? If we're including the Ultras, do we enter another competition there? I think this one's very subjective actually. I'm gonna go neutral still, because I think Goku Black is definitely top 3, because this guy was actually mediocre during the 2024 festival, and then literally was not used ever, and then now he's entering top 1 of pure stats. But that doesn't make it exceptionally good, you know. He's gonna phase out when power creep kicks up, and it kind of does seem that way already, but it's more so because there's a lot of red. So I'm sticking with the neutral. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I think somebody can prove him wrong, but it's not gonna be me. We got a hot take here from Brandon. Hot take: Shallot having reused animation makes sense from a game dev perspective. Having pride in a character you created is good. I am glad that they at least gave a little spiff to the blue card with the legend animations they usually do, and gave him a legendary finish. Cool. I think this is agreeable. It's agreeable actually, because he said from a game dev perspective. I was literally gonna say, as long as you're not selfish and you don't just view it from a viewer perspective or a player perspective, I'm not gonna lie, it makes so much sense. But what I do want to say, outside of me agreeing with your take, is that they simply could have added more. They didn't have to reuse the animations. Yes, from a game dev perspective, it's pride in your character, but the character doesn't need to do the same move twice. You know what I'm saying? Gogeta in the DBS Broly movie was just pulling out whatever out the bag. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. It's one thing to use Soul Punisher in general. It's another thing to throw it. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to do it the same way. And I think they could have definitely spiced up his general animations. The legendary finish, I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorite legendary finishes ever. That's not me saying it's the best objectively, or it needs to be your favorite or your best. I think just the way they incorporate the ink attacks with the way he's doing the barrage hits very different with the character model that he has. So it's the Gogeta build with the scar, the tail, the red because Super Saiyan God. I think it hits super nice. Even the hair, I like Vegeto's 2 bangs more, so him having that also just appeals to me. Honestly, it's a great design all in all, but people have their biases and whatnot. So I think this is an agreeable take if you actually take the take for what it is. But a lot of people, like, they go into it spearheaded and just push their own notion before actually considering what you're saying. I get what you're saying, so I think this is agreeable. We got one here from Princess Iron. This character is always one drop combo away to being the best character in the game. Cool, let's dissect this. First of all, I'm gonna agree, but it's not a strong agree. I think this is agreeable. Defensively, it's just not true. It's just not true. The minute this guy is on defense, he is a liability. Not the worst, but no survivability, and Disrupt is just, it's not kicking like that, you know what I'm saying? So defensively, you can't say that in the slightest, but offensively, one drop combo, you're in a position where you have to cover change, or otherwise somebody's gonna die potentially because he's gonna get more cards, gauge gonna fill, cards going, draw speed, combo compensation drops. There's a lot that goes into it. And then the other two you have, right, he hits the cover change cancel thing, basically forcing you to take these hits, and then you have to wait the timer counts. It's long, and that's in the benefit of the doubt situation where you are 3v3 or Broly is just attacking you. You still have 3 people left, right, your whole team. If you've already had one person die, this guy is the biggest threat on the battlefield. You can't mess up that drop combo. You can't mess up that coverage. Even if he doesn't even need to drop combo if one person's dead. He can just drag you back in. So it's an agree in my opinion. I wouldn't say the best character in the game, but on that field, he's the king. He is the most threatening person in that moment while he's comboing. You need to be very careful because one mistake will lead this guy to winning the game. And that's why I agree. That is why I simply agree. But it's not a strong agree because defensively, lackluster. But offensively, he's that, bruh. If he wants you out of there, he's going to do it himself, on feet, by himself. I've already got through 10 hot takes, so this is going to be my honorable mention and the final one, the 11th one. Ansel BT. They should have never brought Broly out. It put us back on Patience Ball Legends again. I disagree, but I'm also gonna agree with you. So it's not neutral. I disagree, but I'm gonna explain how I agree with you, even though I generally disagree. So your take is they should have never brought Broly out. I disagree with that because I think Broly with the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie theme with Gogeta was perfect, and the visuals, the transformations, they're all nice. The issue is the way they built his mechanic. His mechanic is built on the back end of the enemy triggering it, and if the enemy doesn't trigger it, Broly can just stand there until he does get triggered, and then the blue card goes off. But I think they should have put an extra layer of restriction on it. So once the gauge fills, right, you're obviously forced to wait for the enemy to attack you to force you to transform. But I think they should have put timer counts on it in addition. So this is what I mean. Let's say in the scenario your enemy doesn't want to attack you and they're just letting you stand there, right? Once your gauge fills, you get a 20 timer that starts. And once that 20 timer count goes down, Broly will transform no matter what. And if anything, that makes him a lot more techie because the blue card is guaranteed to do damage off of him interrupting things. So once that 20 timer counts go down, the enemy can see it, which is something that should be added, the timer counts. He should immediately interrupt anything that's going on. So if a Rising Rush comes his way, he can transform. If the active gauge goes off, unless Gogeta's already in the active gauge animation, if he's still in the charger, Broly can transform and interrupt that prep time, you know, for the active gauge. Blue card, ultimate, whatever, overdrive, the 20 timer counts for each stage of transformations needs to start ticking so that the transformation is guaranteed to happen, which means that it should take about 100 timer counts for Broly to reach his final stage, guaranteed. And that way, he wouldn't be, you know, forced to stay in base form or even Super Saiyan. People don't also have to force his transformation, but it's gonna go off eventually. So people can't exploit the floating and it doesn't make the situation of PvP super stale. I think that would have been a much better outcome for Broly. He would have been just as powerful, potentially, but not as boring, and people get to witness his transformations. It would have been more flashy and the game doesn't feel so stale because people aren't just floating. Hopefully that makes sense. It's like a guarantee that you will see his transformations, a guarantee that you will get to transform, and a guarantee that you don't have to actually trigger his transformations just to win the game, and you're not going to 0 timer counts. But yeah, I disagree with this take because I still think they should have brought Broly out. I just don't like the way they designed him because it makes the game boring. I don't want to float at the back of the map because the Broly doesn't want to attack me because he wants to transform. That's going to be the end of the video. If you want to be involved next time, be sure to follow me on Twitter. I do this every celebration. I usually do it every single part, but I didn't do it in part 1. I will be doing it in part 3 though, so be sure to tap in with me on Twitter. You get everything first on Twitter from me if you're looking for my opinions or any updates on anything. Sometimes I just be talking there. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't already, make sure to press the subscribe button. We're on this grind to 200,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys for watching, man. My name's Zakashi, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.